Porn is a problem. Porn is a huge problem. Freya India just posted this post saying that there's this, conversation happening on the right telling women that their standards are just too high. I mean, this comes from data showing that men and women differ on dating apps, where men will swipe right like 90% of the time, right? So like lower standard threshold typically, and women only swipe right like 10% of the time. So they're much more selective. But when you think about it, this does make sense, considering like a bird will do a whole dance for you if it's a male, and the woman has to be like, I don't know. Can you build me a nest? What skills do you have? How bright are your feathers? Tell me more. Will you bring me the good bugs? The issue here is that 80% of men watch porn or have watched porn. 90% of men, 94% of 11-year-old boys are now exposed to pornography, okay? 50%, 52% of married men at least watch porn. And at least half of guys watch porn pretty regularly. 75% of men report watching in the last month, something like that. So if you're like me and you're dating and you're single and you want a nice guy that doesn't have issues, that isn't looking at other women, frankly, honestly, here's a hot take. Are you ready? I think that men watching porn is kind of gay. You're watching another man have sex with a woman, and it's not you. And I think that, we can get into, and we will get into, how much it demoralizes and objectifies not just women, but also the men, but, it can go into sex trafficking, sexual abuse, all that stuff. But on a physiological level, we know it causes erectile dysfunction in men. We know it causes them to be incapable of keeping an erection during sex because they're so overstimulated with all this extra dopamine, and their neuroplasticity has been completely reshaped, that having normal intimate encounters with a woman within the context of a relationship, which should be the best sex, right? The best sex should be with a partner that you are emotionally connected with, that you have committed relationship with, that you're friends with, that you have passion for, not meaningless hookups, but that's another conversation. But men are literally rendering themselves impotent and incapable of having sex because they're so addicted to the pornography and the constant stream of new bodies, new experiences, right? So it's made dating for women very difficult because, as I've said before, I can tell within the first few minutes of a date now at this point, this is how scary it's gotten, whether a guy watches porn or not. I had a certain guy just reached over across, the first date, by the way, there was no second date, reach over and choke my throat or put his hands on my throat. That's not normal. That's not normal. And it shouldn't be. So we're not being too picky. We just don't want porn addicts.